The Lord does not need your money.
Or your shoulders.
Oh my gosh.
He used to need your shoulders covered, and now he doesn't.
You know, I think that is a great starting point, because today we are talking about a time where we were severely indoctrinated while surrounded by the beautiful wilderness and very much not allowed to show our shoulders, even though there were no men present.
Well, there was one man present.
Well,
let's be fair. Only one, though.
That's true.
That, I think, has to be the most effed up thing about what we're going to talk about today, which is Mormon LDS girls camp. The most effed up thing to me was that the rule was we could not wear a two-piece bathing suit, not even a tankini that covers your midriff, because there always had to be a priesthood holder at the camp, you know, because he was the one with all the power in case something happened, so he could give us a blessing or whatever. But the rule was we couldn't wear that kind of a swimming suit because a priesthood holder was going to be there, who is usually a bishop of one of the wards. And when I think about that now as an adult, I'm like, let's think about this for a second. Our leaders did not want us to be a temptation to this adult man, usually married, usually older, 50s, 60s. And so they made us cover up. So we wouldn't be a temptation to this man. And we were between the ages of 12 and 18.
Not only that, I don't know if you remember this as an adult leader in my stake, which we will get to, that Megan was a leader when I was at girls camp.
That's right.
We also, they had a rule, we couldn't even wear shorts because girls were wearing too short of shorts. So my first year, we could wear shorts. And I know because I wore the ugly knee length, like jean ones.
They had to meet
the next year, so my very next year, my second year, which I think was the year of the hike from hell.
Might have been.
We couldn't wear shorts. And so I wore like, you know, the tearaway Adidas pants and also straight up jeans. And it was like 100 degrees in Texas with humidity. And I remember a couple times feeling really, really, really faint because it was so dang hot. So no tank tops, no shorts, and no two-piece swimsuits because we might tempt the one adult man that was there during the week.
Who was supposed to be a leader there protecting us. So my take on that is if you are tempted by seeing young women between the ages of 12 and 18 in bikinis, you probably shouldn't be the one protecting them.
I agree 100%.
The end. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan.
And I'm Kirsten.
And together we are Ex-Mormon Snark.
And today we are trading our testimonies for major truth bombs.
That's right. And we're spilling all of the Mormon tea and coffee and alcohol about girls' camp.
Oh, girls' camp. You know, when I think about girls' camp, I have both very fond and very terrible memories together because I did make some really amazing friendships there. Seriously, there are girls, women who I went to girls' camp with that I did traumatic hikes with, that I bunked in bunk beds with, who are still to this day some of my closest lifelong friends, some both in the church and out of the church. And we still, it's like a moot point between us. So I do have to say there is something about girls' camp that still very much warms my heart. And yet also some of my most traumatic memories are associated with girls' camp.
Yeah, I have to say the same. I actually loved girls' camp. It was one of the few things about the LDS Church that I liked. I liked it as a kid. I liked it as an adult. Yeah. I, looking back on it, obviously don't like some of the indoctrination that we went through. But for the most part, I felt like girls' camp, I mean, there were sort of these culty things that happened during girls' camp. But just like you, I formed lifelong friendships, both as as a kid going and then also as an adult with other leaders. And yes, there were some traumatic things that happened, but for the most part, I used to refer to it when I was a young person as the best week of my life every year. I looked forward to it all year long. I was away from my family. I was, with these other women and girls that I really loved and cared about. And we were just like doing fun things together and also having super spiritual experiences. So
That's so funny that you looked forward to it, because I did not. So I know, shocker.
well, I'm a little
Um,
bit more of an outdoor girly than you are. So there's that too.
Well, it's funny because it's not really that I dislike. I mean, my major is recreation management, youth leadership. That literally all we did was like camping, rock climbing, and wilderness survival. The reason
Yeah.
I did not look forward to it specifically was because I felt like it was not very well run for many of the years that I went.
It was never
So,
well run, Kirsten.
okay. And I didn't like that. Like, there
Yeah.
were always things that happened that just
Didn't
it
need to
I
happen with a
didn't
little
need to
bit of
happen.
planning and preparation.
Right. And even at my young age, we know we're born with a personality. I very much was like, what? This does not make sense to me. Why are we doing it this way? Where is the schedule? Why aren't people where they're supposed to be? Like, my type A personality took over even back then as a child. And I would get frustrated with the adult leaders, as we will go into on the hike.
Yes, we
And
will.
there were many times that I was like, why are we doing this? And because of that, it was really frustrating to me. Also, I have always had the personality type that I think came off as not judgmental to people. So there were many girls that would come to me with whatever issues they were having, be it at girls' camp or just in general. And so I felt that during girls' camp, a lot of times I had these moments with these girls that I felt emotionally I had to carry. And even after girls' camp. So I remember coming home one year, it might have been like my third year, maybe my fourth year, where I came home and just cried to my mom. And I said, I feel so bad for these people because I wish they wouldn't tell me their problems.
Yeah.
Because, like, there was one year where a girl confessed to me that she was being SA'd by a family member, and I didn't know what to do with that information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a, 15, 16-year-old, whatever age I was, that was really, really hard to carry,
Yeah.
and so I hope that's not a normal experience for people at girls camp. But I felt like often, especially after testimony meetings, I would have these 2 a.m. conversations that would get really, really deep.
Yep.
And emotionally, that was really hard for me to carry.
Yeah. And also, it speaks to the fact that a lot of us young women did not have people that were safe to talk to. And so it
Yeah.
wasn't until we were in a situation where we were away from home and, spending the night with other girls that we felt comfortable enough to share these types of things. And I will
Yeah.
say this is where I heard the most stories about, they say the statistic is that like 1 in 3 women will be assaulted at some point before they're the age of 30. Well, I can tell you, I think that statistic is much higher because a lot of people don't talk about it or report it. And
Yeah,
I
I
can tell
agree.
you those conversations that I had late at night at girls camp, it was almost every single one of us, and some
Yeah.
of it was, happening with family members, but some of it was happening with church leaders. And I just have so
Yeah.
many stories like that, of course, I don't want to share other people's stories,
Right.
but
Of course.
it was just, it seemed like it was a universal problem. And
Yeah,
so
I
it's not,
agree.
while it's not the subject of what we're talking about today, I think girls camp was one of those few times when we as women were given voices. We were free to
Yeah.
share what we wanted to share. And even though there was a man in charge of everything, the women were the leaders. They were the ones coming
Yeah.
up with the schedule, and they were the ones running the meetings, and they were the ones in charge of things. And that was one of the few times that we actually saw that in action in the church.
I agree. I think that was also a place where a lot of people could be silly and do things that they normally would not do in their everyday life.
Yes.
I recall so many times seeing a girl that would come at the beginning of the week and be really closed off, not have a lot of friends, kind of stick to themselves. And by the end of the week, they were fully integrated and
Yeah.
being silly and painting their faces, just things like that. I was not one of those people, considering I've never been a quiet person. So
Right.
I think I was the instigator more often than not. So,
Yes,
you know,
probably. But also for
especially,
me, and I think probably for a lot of young women too, it was a time where we were away from the men, the young
yeah,
men specifically, but also the old men who were in charge. And we could be
yeah,
ourselves. We didn't have to be on
yeah,
our best behavior. And I felt like that so much when I was at church
yeah,
activities, especially young men's activities. I was expected to behave. I was
yeah.
expected to be quiet and be pretty and be
Mhm.
kind and dance with anyone who asked me because that was the polite thing to do. It was rude to say
Yeah.
no. And I remember one summer I made a t-shirt that said life is too short to dance with ugly guys. And my mom got really mad and she did not
Oh,
want
I'm
me to wear
sure.
it. And I was like, I want to wear this to a stake dance because I got asked all the time by everybody and I always said yes. And I felt like I
Yeah.
was not allowed to say no. And that is another way that the LDS Church sets us up to be victims. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No, but I want to share the songbook I found
Yes.
online because these songs are very, very telling of what they teach young women in the church. I'm sure you all have seen the TikTok that's going around. I know Alyssa Grenfeld shared it. I'm sure there are a lot of other places it has been shared, you know, as ex-Mormon creators. But it's the group of girls doing the Mormon song. Do you recall, Megan?
I do recall. Yes.
So it's I know a Mormon boy, he is my pride and joy. He knows most everything from Alma on down. Woo, one day I'll be his wife. We'll have eternal life. That's how I love my Mormon boy. Moremen. Mormon. Sing it again. And they have this little like thing, you know, on their thighs and clapping and rah rah. So that is one of them. But I would like to read some of the other ones that I've
Yes,
pulled up here.
please.
I found this today, but I remember a lot of these songs, so I'll go through. See, there's the little torch.
The torch, the young women's torch. Which
Yes.
do we know even why that was the symbol?
I don't know. It's probably a light for God.
I still
or
have
some
my
shit.
torch necklace.
Oh, I don't have my torch necklace because when I got my young women's medallion, they had just changed it.
Oh yeah.
So, but these are like the normal ones, like Boom Chicka Boom and Do Your Ears Hang Low. Like we sing normal camp songs.
Yeah.
But these are the ones that they get a little crazy. Okay, the Noah song Funky Chicken. We all get that, blah, blah, blah. Sippin' cider. This is the first one that I thought, I know I learned this at girls' camp, but I think this is something that people sing outside of just Mormonism.
They do, but with different words.
Right.
Like these
So
are
this
very
is-
Mormon words.
Yeah, the cutest guy I ever saw was sipping cider through a straw.
And isn't it
Cutest
call and
guy.
response where it's like the cutest guy I
cutest
ever
guy
saw.
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll sip inside through a straw.
Just through a straw. Yeah. So they're sipping cider cheek to cheek, jaw to jaw, and now we sip the cider through a straw. You know, now 49 kids all call me Ma from sipping cider through a straw. This is so funny. This part always made me laugh. The moral of this little tale is sip your cider from a pail. So don't go and slip cider through a straw because then you'll have 49 kids who call you Ma.
And this is why so many Mormon girls get to the age of 18 not knowing how babies are made.
Correct. Just like my roommate at BYU who was upset because she'd been kissing her boyfriend and was worried she was pregnant. That is a true
And
story.
that song is probably why.
Right? These are all normal ones, you know, milk. But these are the ones that I was like, oh, here we are. A man without a Mormon girl. I do not know how this one goes, but it said, we ought to know. All I can think of is it might be Alanis Morissette, which is interesting if that is correct. Yes, because like Hot Priest is big.
Okay.
Butt.
Can I just say there is no other? Okay, so in all the other churches, a priest is like somebody who has gone to some kind of ecclesiastical school and studied religion and the Bible. In the Mormon church, a priest is just a 16-year-old boy. Okay,
Right.
so
Unless they're
when-
talking. So when I saw hot priest, I was like, did they mean high priest? Because that's disgusting. Because high
well,
priest
that
is
would be
like
a man,
old
like an
man.
older man.
Right.
But so anywhere else in any other context, seeing hot priest, people would be like, what the hell is going on there?
Okay. So this one it said we ought to know. So I was like, a man without a Mormon girl. Is that how it is? I hope not, because
I don't
that's
know,
like
but I think that hot priest looks like it might be Sir
it's
Mix-a-Lot.
big butts. Yes.
I
Okay,
like a
but I
hot
want to
priest
read
and
the
I
words.
cannot lie.
We're not there. We're not there, Megan. We're not there. Stop
I'm sorry, I'm
yucking on
really
my
stuck on
yum.
this one. I'm sorry.
Oh, I covered it with my hand, but that doesn't work for you. Okay,
No.
here we go. A man without a Mormon girl is like a ship without a sail. He's like a boat without a rudder. He's like a fish without a tail. A man without, it says moron girl, but I'm pretty sure it meant Mormon.
Nope, it's correct.
A man without a Mormon girl. There's only one thing worse in this universe. That's a Mormon girl. What? That's a Mormon girl. What? That's a Mormon girl without a man. We ought to know. That's a Mormon girl without a man. That's the only thing worse. Do you realize that? That's what it says.
I learned that from the song just now. I
Yes,
didn't know
and
that
now we
before.
know. And now we
Now
both
we
know.
That's right. And now we'll be held accountable for that knowledge, Kirsten.
It doesn't matter. We're already going to outer darkness.
That's right. We are. And I'm
Okay.
happy about it.
I will sing this now because this is one of my children's favorite songs, actually. Not the hot priest one, but Big Butts. Okay, hot priest. I like a hot priest, and I cannot lie. You other sisters can't deny. When a priest walks in with his scriptures in his case and a big girl on his face,
I
you
think they
get
meant
a
grin.
date. I hope so, because that's
Okay.
interesting.
Here's what is so crazy about this, Kirsten.
Yeah.
They made a rap for girls to sing at girls' camp that is derived from a song that they would never let us play at a stake dance because it is not appropriate.
Oh, yeah. No. So how do they know how it goes, Megan? How do they know?
I don't understand how this got approved. Being somebody who is on like in the meetings where we were planning girls' camp, I do not understand. The only thing I can think is that like these innocent Mormon moms who put this together
Didn't know.
probably had no idea what it was based on or what the real words were, because itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, that's not something that Mormons would want young girls to be talking about.
But I think it's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious too.
Oh my God.
For the same
Megan.
reason that whenever I see like new churches now singing Like a Prayer by Madonna and they think it's a religious song. And I'm like,
Megan,
it's not.
Megan, can you imagine some of these Mormon women watching that music video? With them sitting on the giant butt?
My pearls.
So, when a priest walks in with his scriptures in his case and a big grin on his face, you get a date, a celestial mate. But no, he's going on a mission, leaving you a wishing for a man, someone to hold your hand. Teachers, what? Deacons, what? You guys are at least. Your brothers are hot, but you are not. So give us those righteous priests.
Word. Can you imagine? Like, there's not. I mean, this is the weirdest, whitest thing that I've ever seen in my life. It's horrible, and I hate it.
Megan, next time we get together, you must covenant with me that we will perform this.
Kirsten, I now covenant with you that the next time we get together in person, we will perform this rap. Let us go down.
We will go down.
We will return and report.
Okay, sorry.
As terrible as Hot Priest is, I'm looking over on the next column
yeah.
and I see that this one is probably to be sung to the tune of Achy Breaky Heart.
Correct.
And I don't know how a heart can be agile. I've never heard a heart described as agile.
Well, now you
or
have
agile, as it were.
agile. You can tell your ma and you can tell your pa that you have found a girl that you can trust. I never dance too close. They spelled too wrong. My language isn't gross. And I don't touch no alcohol or drugs.
I hate it. I hate it.
Don't tell my heart, my agile,
fragile
heart that you're expecting me to compromise, because that would break my heart, my agile, fragile heart, and I would blow up and say goodbye. Blow up. Are they trying to say that women are crazy?
Explosive. Yes. Explosive and angry.
Angry.
That's what women are. Yes.
Yeah. There's a Mormon ad that actually depicts that. I'll have to find it for you.
Go and tell your
Go.
bishop you want to serve a mission, and RM is the only man I'll love, because they make better grooms for temple ceiling rooms, and that's the only room I'm dreaming of. Ooh.
Don't tell my heart, my agile, fragile heart, that you're expecting me to compromise, because
you're going to get a copyright strike.
My agile, fragile heart, I would blow up and say goodbye.
All right, can we be done with this now? I'm triggered and I hate it.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, here's the Mormon one. Yeah. So, anyways, those were the worst ones. Those were actually the ones that I wanted to share.
We should do some more on our members only live after this. That's what we can do.
We totally should.
Yeah.
So,
well, I want everybody to know that the Mormons were very serious about girls' camp. There was a theme every single year, and the Mormon women started meeting in January to discuss girls' camp. So I've been on both sides of it. I went to girls' camp every single year, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then
me too.
And then I was a girls' camp leader. When I went to my first adult ward after I got married, the bishop always calls a new person in and says, what kind of callings have you had in the past? And how are you wanting to serve the Lord? And I told them that I really loved girls' camp and I would really love to be somebody who goes to girls' camp, let me work in the young women's, blah, blah, blah. But I was not endowed. And so therefore I was not allowed to work in the young women's organization.
Whoa.
Instead, my first calling was that I was the Boy Scout den leader to 12 little boys who were between the ages of 7 and 9.
I didn't know you couldn't be a young women's leader. I know that you had talked about it and they didn't want you to teach classes. I didn't realize you couldn't be one until you were endowed. That's crazy.
Well, so here's the thing. I did end up being in the young women's organization. I was not allowed to be in the leadership. So I was called eventually, after many years of proving my faithfulness, I was eventually called to be the camp specialist, which is not somebody in the young women's presidency. It's just somebody who, takes care of camp for the ward. So
I was going to say, it's like a made up calling to make sure you could be there and help because they knew you would be able to do a good job, but you couldn't be an actual leader.
Right. And it's a made up calling because a lot of the women in the young women's presidency do not want to go to girls' camp, hate the outdoors, did not want to go to, for a week to live in cabins during the hot summer in South Texas with the mosquitoes and everything. But I actually love camping. And the first year that I went, I was in charge of no, that's not true. So the first year that I went, I was the ward camp director. So I was in charge of.
Oh, yeah.
Please join me in my righteous anger. I was in charge of putting together a fundraiser so that we could raise money so that the girls could go to camp, because the cost of girls camp was approximately $150 per girl. This was back in the early 2000s. And the ward didn't have the budget to pay for everybody. And so what we would do is we'd do a big, huge fundraiser and put all of that money towards the fund to reduce each individual's camp payment.
Was that statewide or just ward?
It was statewide in the stake that you and I were in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't remember. I remember my parents having to pay for it. So that's why I'm like, they have a fundraiser? Because I don't remember that in our ward or talking about it. But also I was a kid, so I don't know.
And also your ward was a little bit more of an affluent ward, and you probably didn't have many people who couldn't afford to pay the $150. In my ward, ward went all the way down to, downtown San Antonio. So we had a lot of families who could not afford to pay $150
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that at all.
What we would do is we would have an auction of baked goods and a spaghetti dinner. So you would pay $5 per person to come to the spaghetti dinner, and then the young women would make cakes and cookies and brownies, and we would auction them off to the more affluent ward members.
This is literally brand new information to me. I had no clue that this happened. And I was definitely in that ward or in that state. Because
you were in the state. Yeah.
That was when I literally looked at, so I sent Megan a bunch of my girls camp pictures, and that was from 2000, the ones I sent you, because I put the date on there. So that was from 2000. I have no recollection of this at all. Again, I was a kid, so, I was 14.
Also, though, again, just you being in an affluent ward, because all of the young women who were going to camp were involved in this fundraiser. So every girl who was going to girls camp would have to go and be a waiter at this spaghetti dinner, and they would also have to make a baked good for the auction. And there were these two gentlemen, which you can guess who they are later, Kirsten, because I know you're going to know who they are. There are these two gentlemen who loved to have a bidding war over this one chocolate cake that got donated every year.
I'm sure.
And I got the sense that it was a situation where one of the men did not actually have the money that he was bidding, but he just kept bidding to get this other guy up as high as he could, because he knew the other guy was going to outbid him and win. So the first year that we did this, that chocolate cake sold for $300. So the first year that cake went for $300. The second year we did it, it went for $500. And we always raised plenty of money to cover the cost of girls camp for all of the girls in the ward. But here's the messed up thing, though. Why is the church not paying for it? The main church has all of this money, but they give very little to the individual congregations that literally it wasn't in the budget. I've seen the budget for Young Women's. I've seen it for Relief Society. Like literally we were scrimping and saving to do one nice dinner at Christmas time for the Relief Society women. It was just, it's insane that what we had probably 15 girls go to girls camp that year. They could have covered it. Like the main church could have covered it. Now, I do think it's a decent experience to have, for women young women to understand how much things cost and to do their own work, to raise their own money and whatever. But at the same time, there were a lot of girls who felt really ashamed that they couldn't pay the money. Yeah. And they felt really ashamed because while everyone else was spending a lot of money on fancy ingredients, making baked goods, they were buying a box of cookies from HEB and bringing them to the auction, So it's just not necessary.
No, it's not at all. I mean, I was talking to a friend recently, probably like a month ago, and they were telling me about how their kids are going to this youth conference that is basically like a small EFY for the kids that can't afford it, basically. Mm-hmm. And they're like, the church donated this land so they could have this area and for these youth camps, blah, blah, blah. And it's like $125 or something. And I literally was sitting there. I'm like, they could donate the land, but they won't donate to have the food or the housing or let the kids go. And like, it just drives me nuts. And this person I was talking to, I know that it was something that they probably had to budget for. You know, it's
Yeah.
someone I've known for a very long time, and wonderful, amazing, very like down to earth people, and don't have a lot of money. And so it made me really angry that they had to pay for this experience for their kids, not only because it's super culty and I hate all of that, blah, 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 but that an organization that could easily make these experiences completely free
Yeah.
is choosing not to.
Yeah.
And that just made me really angry. So
And
anyways,
I had some really good bishops who, when my kids were coming up and going through these things, like we couldn't afford those kinds of things either. And I had some really good bishops who were like, hey, if you can't afford this, just let us know. And there were
No.
some who were even better, who would never even say that to me, and just people would cover it, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like Boy Scout dues and whatever else, you know, because I had 6 kids and a non-participating husband. And you know, some of my bishops were really good to us that way. Some of them were terrible. And they were like, we don't care if you can't afford it. You're going to just come up with it.
While we're talking about this, I'm just going to throw this story in there. This is not about girls' camp, but just makes me really, really angry. I know, shocker. I'm angry at the church about their money. But I remember when my dad was in the bishopric, and he was complaining like crazy because there was an individual in the ward that had the desire to serve a mission, and their family couldn't afford it. So the church was crowdfunding for it, literally, like talking to other leadership members and people in the ward that weren't affluent, asking them to crowdfund the $10,000 for this young man to go on a mission. And my dad was really mad about it. So he was like, we shouldn't have to pay for this and blah, blah, blah. Right. And for one thing, I don't think my dad should have been sharing that. P.S. But also, why are the ward members trying to crowdfund to send this young man to go on a mission for the church where he's going to be working for 2 years? Like for them, paying to work for them.
Right.
Like, I'm going to stop right now because we could do another whole episode on this, and it should just be called Kirsten's Money Rant. Kirsten's Money Rant. That's just the name of it.
Yes, we will do an episode on all of that at some point. But yeah, so it's super disappointing once again that a multi-$100 billion organization is forcing individual members who make very little money to pay to send their children to church activities when they could just cover the entire cost, and it would be great. Now, what they would do is they would rent out a, you know, usually they were Boy Scout camps, which again were probably owned by the church anyway. So why are we renting them out? Why are we paying for this anyway? We could keep going. So the majority of that cost that they were collecting from the individual girls was for food for the, you know, for the camp. And they would hire somebody to come and cook all the food for camp, except for 1 year. There was 1 year that I went where the level leader was in charge of cooking dinner, and the girls were supposed to help with that. And that was actually the year that I liked the most, because we camped in tents. We had to build our own fire for dinner and cook our own dinner. So they would provide breakfast and lunch for us. And then around 3 o'clock, we would have to start gathering wood, making the fire, burn it down to coals, put everything in Dutch ovens. I liked that year because that was the year that I got to teach girls how to build fires and how to like really camp. And then after that, we were in cabins.
That a year? That was the year I was there, right?
I think was your first year of no, it wasn't, because, okay, I was your leader during your 4th year because it was the 4th year hike that was the hardest one. So this would have been maybe the year before that, and maybe you would have been a 3rd year at that time.
Because I remember a year where we made like the tinfoil dinners in my ward, and it was like one of our things we had to check off. You know, we had they tried to make it like Boy Scouts, like you had badges or things you had to check off for your year. It wasn't at all like that, but they tried, you know. And one of them was like to make a tinfoil dinner, and you're gonna laugh because I was not prepared at all. My tinfoil dinner I don't even remember what it was, but I didn't bring utensils or anything, but I had a pocket knife. And literally, I have pictures in here, but other people are in it, so I'm not going to show. This is my scrapbook. I sat there with a can of beans and I was eating it with my pocket knife, like scooping it. And so people were like, Kirsten would be so good at being homeless, because I was just like, I think I even opened my can with like
with your
my
knife.
Swiss Army and sat there and was like eating it with like the blade. Just like,
That's dedication, Kirsten.
what else? What choice did I have? They weren't going to feed me otherwise. I do remember it was pork and beans, so it wasn't just like a can of pinto. It was pork and beans. So
I
it was
bet it wasn't heated though.
It was not. It was not. I ate a can of cold beans. So I guess once again showing that Megan is better at the outdoors than me. But here we are.
Oh man. So what would happen is that the adult leaders would start meeting in January, and you would go to camp for 4 years, and then your 5th and 6th year, when you were junior and senior in high school, you would be a youth leader. So the youth leaders would come to these meetings also. They would help with the planning and the preparation. And so this little program is from when I was a girls' camp. The theme was the Wild West. And the reason I brought up the youth leaders is because I guarantee you they photocopied these things off. And at one of the meetings, the youth leaders did all of the marker coloring and everything on the inside.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
on the inside of this is the young women's theme, which we will not recite right now, but we will at some point. Then it says, howdy, partner. Welcome to Girls Camp. Our theme this year is Wild, Wild West. We hope you enjoy camp and develop many wonderful friendships. We hope your time here will be happy. Comic Sans font, by the way. When the early saints were planning their journey west, see how they worked in the theme word there? The Lord gave them instructions now in the Doctrine and Covenants. Our scripture for camp this year comes from that section. If thou art merry, praise the Lord with singing, with music, with dancing, and with a prayer of praise and thanksgiving. We hope you learn a lot at camp, have a great time, and take home a heart filled with joy.
Because if you aren't filled with joy, then what the hell are you doing here?
That's right.
That's
you will be joyful. So then we have the ranch rules in this little handbook. We were supposed to carry this with us while we were at camp the whole time.
Yes.
Schedule. Check the schedule each day and try to be on time. Please be a good example and attend all the activities, because we used to have a huge problem with girls who were like, I'm not going to that. And then they would just hang out in the cabins all day. Cabins. Please keep your cabin clean and clean.
That was me.
It says clean and clean. Yes, we know.
I did not appreciate their disorganization, and I refuse to participate.
Right. Please do not litter. Mandatory quiet time starts at 11 p.m. Clothes. No bare feet to or from the waterfront. Watch out for nails, poison ivy, and occasional snakes. One-piece modest bathing suits only. There it is, right in the handbook.
Yep.
Personals. Report illnesses to nurse. All girls taking medication must notify nurse. Never leave camp without permission. Stay out of designated staff areas.
Megan, I want to tell my story about the nurse. Oh,
yes,
you were probably there.
I was there.
Do you remember when the brother that was a doctor came and was like the medical professional?
Yes.
I got a tick that year. Right here in the crease between my thigh and other parts of my body.
Your lady parts. Mm-hmm.
My lady parts. I got a tick, and that individual had to remove it. That was the first time I had ever been seen by even a doctor or anything that I could remember, male or female, but definitely male. And I remember totally like being mortified and like blacking out to get the tick out. Thankfully, a woman who had been my leader came with me and was there the whole time. But I was literally mortified and did not want to go back. And it happened on like the second day. And the whole rest of the time, I couldn't make eye contact with him. So that was my experience getting a ticket at girls' camp. Please continue.
Oh, yes, I shall. Let's see. Beach, nobody at the waterfront alone, without a lifeguard present, never swim alone. Nights, don't forget family prayer. Please stay in cabin after 11 p.m. Please be considerate of those sleeping. Courtesy, be nice to others.
And I hate that they have to put that, but mean girls will mean girl at girls'
Yes, they
camp or
will,
otherwise.
even at girls' camp. Then they had a whole list of our stake leaders, our youth leaders, the cooks, the nurse, the lady in charge of crafts, and the priesthood guy, who they named the
Yes.
Lone Ranger because it was a Western theme.
That's
So.
beautiful.
Now, when I went to girls' camp, Kirsten, we actually did have camp manuals where we had to become certified in certain skills in order to move on to the next level. And I'm sure if you
Yes.
failed a level, they were not going to keep you back or anything like
yes.
that. But it was a big deal to like do the actual certification things.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make it kind of like scout camp. Like I remember
Yeah.
shooting a bow and arrow at camp. I remember shooting not a full-on rifle, but like, you know, a
Yeah.
pellet gun type of thing for marksmanship. And I remember they took the orienteering very seriously. Like we had to know how to use a compass. We had to build a fire. A lot of
Yep.
this stuff we would do. We had these certification activities prior to going to camp. And we
Yeah.
would pass off these certifications like cooking a foil dinner and things like
Yeah.
that before we actually went to camp. But it was a pretty big deal when
Yeah.
in my day.
It was in mine too. Well, you were a leader, probably you don't remember as or you didn't see it as much, but I felt like we had to do all the stuff too. A
Yeah.
lot of the stuff I knew how to do already because my mom was actually really outdoorsy. She was state camp director several times when I was younger.
Mhm.
So I went to girls' camp with her actually a lot when I was like
Yeah.
6, 7, 8. They would actually bring me and my sister. So I knew how to do a lot of the things. I knew how to tie knots ever since I was really little, you know, and
Yeah.
start a fire and things like that. So yeah, but we definitely did the things as well, at least in my ward. So
Yeah. And then they had all of these like people who were assigned to different camp assignments,
yeah,
like registration, fire starters, flag ceremony, early bird activities, mini classes, secret buddies. And this particular year, I was one of the youth leaders. Guess what I was in charge of, Kirsten? Leading
I
the
don't
singing,
know.
music. I was a
Oh,
music leader.
why
So
didn't
like
I think of that?
at every meal, we would sing songs. On the hikes, we would
Yeah.
sing songs. We'd sing a song at the flag raising in the morning. We'd sing a
Yep.
song at the flag lowering at night. We'd sing a family song before family. It was like,
Yep.
yeah, I had to be in charge of all that.
Yep.
And we always did a service
And
project.
lots of singing. Yeah.
And we had
Yep.
secret sisters. So we were assigned somebody to give little gifts to every day with a cute little note or a scripture.
Yep.
And then we would find out at the end of camp who our secret sister was. And I remember it being like such an emotional thing. It was like,
Yeah.
you left me all these gifts. My secret sister. We're friends for life.
Like, oh my God, I needed that note so much. And in the testimony meeting, do you remember when people would like read it and be like, this
Yes.
meant so much to me? I'm going to share
Yeah.
this note from the secret sister I got.
Yeah.
And whoever you are, I know that God put you in my life right now.
Yeah. So this is the schedule for girls camp for the week that I went. It's obviously very detailed, as you can see, starting at
Looks
6
good.
a.m. and ending at
Yep.
11 p.m. But we went
Yep.
for, what was it? 1, 2, 3. So Monday was a half day, 3 full days. And then Friday we had testimony meeting, service project, and then we would go home. So it was almost a full week. But
Yep.
the very first night we would do skits for family night. Each ward would put on a little skit that went along with the theme. And then
Yes.
the second night was like a special like s'mores and campfire thing. The third night was ward night, which is where you divide up into your original or your individual wards and have like a
Yeah.
super spiritual message from your bishop, and you would do a testimony meeting after that. And then
Yep.
On Thursday night was the friendship fire, which when I went to camp was a big deal. We'll talk about in a second. And then Friday morning, we would get up and have a sunrise testimony meeting where everybody would say their feelings about the week and how spiritual it was. And everybody would cry and everybody would hug before we went home. And we would be so sad that we were leaving each other.
Yes. Also, the Sunday after girls camp, sorry, I'm adjusting. The Sunday after girls camp, they would have one or two of the young women talk about the experience at girls camp. And guess who got asked to do it almost every year?
I'm guessing it was you, Kirsten.
It was me. It was often me, because I was usually the one that could maybe put a talk together last minute. I'm not sure, but also I was often in charge of things. I seemed like no matter what year I was at, I was in some sort of leadership position. So it was like,
that's because you're an uppity female.
With the uppity? What?
Yes. You have opinions and you speak your mind. And so therefore you must be in charge of things.
That's true. But also, no, not also, you're right. Skit night was really fun and I loved it. I got to MC a lot. There was one year that I was in charge of putting a skit, like mini skits together between every single skit while the wards were like getting ready, because each ward would have a skit, right? And so I did all these mini skits in between it. I thought I was so funny. I thought it was like SNL girls camp style, I'm pretty sure. But I would like have different friends with me. I thought it was so fun. And afterwards I was like, let's go on a snipe hunt, you know? And I took the first years on a snipe hunt. There was a girl in our ward that was like, you know, that girl that, you know, embellishes every single freaking thing that they do.
Yes, I know that girl.
We all know that girl. We all know that girl. So this girl was fully invested in the snipe hunt and did not know, obviously, that we were awful people making this up and tricking them. And she was like, oh my God, I see it. I see it. Look, I can see the eyes in the tree, like all of the things. And I was like, oh yeah. And she was like, yeah. I was like, do you see the ears? Yes. Oh my God, the ears are huge. Right. Just fully invested, right? Going on. And so then at the end, when we reveal that there is no snipe and we just took them on this trail and we are making fun of them, she bursts into tears. Bawling, uncontrollable sobbing with the snot and everything. And I felt so bad. But then also I felt very vindicated because I was like, haha, now everyone knows.
Oh my gosh.
And I did feel really bad about it, but also I didn't at the same time. And I've carried that burden with me. And now we all know that I'm a terrible person.
And now it's a metaphor for our lives, because look how we were when we were Mormon. We were like, yes, I totally see it. Yes, I totally feel it. And then we found out it was false. And that was us bawling with snot. So
do you know what else is kind of funny? This is awful. She came to my wedding, my temple wedding.
Oh, wow.
That person. Yeah. So apparently I did not affect her, other than I don't know why she didn't think I was a terrible person. Forgiveness is real, you guys. The Holy Spirit inspired her.
So friendship fire, the last night of camp, when I went to girls camp, I told this story on my Mormon Stories episode, but we had this little ceremony that was called the Legend of Liahona. And we always look forward to it because when you got to be a youth leader, you got to be the ones that put on the Legend of Liahona. And they would build this big, huge campfire down by the waterfront. A girl dressed as an American Indian princess with a big feathered headdress would stand out on the dock with the microphone, and she would tell us the story of the Legend of Liahona. Now, Liahona is a made-up word. It refers to a ball in the Book of Mormon made of brass ball, as it were, that if you were righteous, would point the right way in the wilderness, the right way to go. And if you were not righteous, it would not tell you where to go. So
it was a magic compass. That's all you need to know. It's a magic compass based on your righteousness.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Mormons back in those days really did believe that the Book of Mormon people, that the American Indians were descendants of the Book of Mormon people. And so it would have been appropriate in their mind for an Indian woman, American Indian, Native American, to be named Liahona after
Yeah.
a Book of Mormon relic.
Mhm.
And the story that she told was basically talking about her finding her way in the wilderness and the Great Spirit leading her to the righteous people, and basically a Native American story of like joining the church and finding faith in Jesus Christ, which is all horrible,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So what they would do is they would set this up for the younger girls to say, like, this is a very special and important ceremony. Nobody should talk on the way down to the waterfront. They made it like this very sacred kind of a thing. So as youth leaders, what we would do is we would dress up as if we were Native Americans. It was horrible. I'll show you a picture in just a second. You'll all cringe. It was awful. We did
Yeah.
not know better. I did not know better as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old girl.
Yep.
So we would light candles and put them all along the pathway down to the waterfront. And then there would be a big bonfire down there. And where the candles were, two youth leaders would stand across from each other on the path and just hold a candle like this under their chin. And we would just stare at the person across the path in silence. And that was supposed to make the younger girls realize, like, ooh, how important this is and how special. So they wouldn't talk.
I feel so bad laughing because I'm like, this is so Girl Scout.
It is. Yes.
Like,
yes.
We took it so fucking seriously.
Yes, we really did.
Like,
And I,
this
you
was
know, this,
not something you messed around with, because it was like, I remember being like, we have to do this because the spirit needs to be like
yeah.
so important. And this is the pinnacle part of Girls Camp. This is why we're here. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
And so it was one of those things where, you know, you didn't want to be the one to mess it up for everybody else, you know, so you wanted to go along with the ceremony and whatever. And so, you know, it was a big buildup. And I told this story on Mormon Stories about how I really wanted to be the Liahona my senior year. And I did not get chosen because one of my leaders could not recommend me. So I was chosen my senior year of high school to be on the Stake Youth Leadership Council, which meant that I got to help plan the activities for like the regional youth when we would get together once a month on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I was considered, I thought, to be somebody who was like trustworthy and whatever. I got to pick songs for dances and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So when it comes to choosing who's going to be the Liahona, you know, they wanted somebody, of course, who was like a good example to all the other youth and whatever. So you sort of had to be recommended. And one of my young women's leaders was approached by the Stake Young Women's Presidency to say, you know, hey, is there somebody in your ward that you can recommend to be the Liahona? And I found out after all of this went down, the reason that I was not chosen is because my youth leader had spoken to my bishop. And I guess this is the way it went. My parents went into the bishop to say, what do we do with our daughter? She's lying to us about like who she's hanging out with and where she's going and whatever. And it was the sort of situation where like my mom, I had a lot of friends who were guys. My mom did not like me hanging out with all of these guys because she assumed I was doing things with them. They were all just my guy friends. I was dating one of them, but she didn't like me hanging out with them. So I would often tell her that I was with girlfriends when I was actually with these guy friends. And sometimes I would tell her that we were just going to the mall when we were actually going bowling, because my mom thought that was not ladylike. And also she didn't want me hanging out in a place with alcohol and cigarettes.
Well, I was going to say, which, by the way, is totally normal teenage behavior. How many of us lied to our parents about where we're going to be because we're worried we're going to get in trouble? Anyways, just want to put that out there.
I knew what was acceptable and not acceptable to my parents. And if I wanted to go bowling, I wouldn't ever have been able to go bowling if I had told them the truth about where I was going. So anyways, yes, I felt like it was pretty benign stuff, but apparently it was a big enough deal that my parents went to the bishop and they were like, hey, what do we do with our super troubled youth?
Instead of
And
talking
so,
to a professional counselor or having questions
right,
with someone who might actually know. Okay, just to be clear.
right. Because you go to your bishop for everything because he knows everything. He has a special gift of discernment.
No,
So then what happens once a month, I think, is they have ward council where it's the
Yeah.
bishopric and all of the
Yep.
young women's president, the primary president, the young men's president. So they all get together in this council to talk about the members and how things are going and who they need to reactivate and who's in need of financial help and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm sure
Yeah.
it got brought up at a ward council, that my parents had been in, that I was super wayward and troubled. And so this young women's leader got to hear about the fact that I was lying to my parents. So when she was asked by the stake young women's president for a recommendation, the young women's president said, "Hey, what about Megan? Because I was a singer and a performer, blah, blah, blah." And this young women's president said, "No, I can't recommend her because I know she lies to her parents." And then she got up and bore her testimony about it in the joint
up.
young men, young women's meeting after girls camp was over. We were doing the testimony meeting where girls get up and talk about their experience and the guys get to hear about our spiritual experiences. And this leader stood up in that testimony meeting with me and all of my, young women friends and all of the young men in the ward also to tell the story about how she felt heartbroken that she couldn't recommend this young woman. She never referred to me by my name, of course, because she found out she'd been lying to her parents, and it was heartbreaking that she couldn't recommend the person, but she just felt it was so important to only recommend people who are truly faithful and righteous.
Oh my God.
And it was definitely, I was sitting there like knowing she was talking about me openly.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to look around and be like, does anybody else know this is me? Because I do. But I felt so betrayed. I really did. I felt betrayed by my parents, by my bishop, by my young women's leader, because nobody had come to me and talked to me about any of that. My bishop didn't call me in and say, "Why are you lying to your parents?"
Dude,
There was
but
none of
I
that.
mean, the thing that makes me so irritated about this is your story is not unique.
No, definitely not.
People think this is totally normal behavior to publicly shame people. And even if some people didn't know who she was talking about, there were people who did know.
Yep.
And you knew.
Yep.
So it pisses me off because it was totally normal behavior to publicly shame people from the pulpit, thinking that you're sharing this amazing testimony about, it's like that fucking clip of she's like, because of that one cup of coffee, she couldn't go to the temple and neither could her children. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yes, I do know the one you're talking about. But again,
Kirsten, they use that as like faith promoting when really all you're doing is making someone else look bad. That's all it is.
Yes, but it is baked into Mormonism. Joseph Smith did that all the time. When he was preaching, he would call people out by name. And he would do it in the Doctrine and Covenants too. He would say, "I went to God, to ask about this particular individual." And then it would say right in the scriptures, "My servant Newell K. Whitney shall not blah, blah, blah." It's baked into Mormonism. So it should be no surprise that they still do it today.
It just makes me mad. I mean, of course it does. And I feel so bad for you. Like, I'm so sorry you had that experience because, being someone who attended girls camp, I know how much emphasis they put on having that, like, you are going to be the one who creates this amazing atmosphere and you're the chosen one of all the young women in the stake. And it feels very special. And like, I'm the most spiritual one. That is the only young woman able to do this. Like, I know how that feels because sometimes I was that person and sometimes I wasn't. And I know how it feels to have that want to be chosen. And so then to be publicly shamed that you weren't chosen is really fucked up. Like, it just is.
I remember as a younger girl too, we looked up to the youth leaders like so much. They became our best friends. And so I remember you know, my second year, I was like, oh, this is exciting. It's the night. So we were walking down to the water, and I was trying to look at all the faces of all the girls I was passing, because I was like, who's going to be the Liahona? Who is it going to be? Okay, it's not her.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not her. You know, like guessing who it was. And she would be standing with her back towards us as we came down. And then
Yeah.
all of the youth leaders would then gather around in a circle around the bonfire with our little candles like this, and we would sing,
Yeah.
Liahona, Liahona. And then we would go into harmony and sing, Liahona. And then she would turn around and face us, and it would be like, oh, this big reveal.
Yeah. I want to see the pictures. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so I only have one picture that I can show you, because the other ones have way too many people in them. And so this
Yeah.
is the only one where I can block somebody out. But this was my first year as a youth leader. And this is what we had to dress up as. They gave us these little headbands that were recycled from year to year. And then we
Yeah.
did braids in our hair and face paint, and they gave us feathers.
Those look like Peter Pan feathers.
And then we also had to wear these denim shirts that the sleeves were kind of cut, so they were a little raggedy.
At
I
least
don't
you
know
didn't
why.
like dip them in tea or something, you know.
No,
Although
but
that sounds
those-
like a very Mormon like project. That'd be like, we're gonna get
Yeah.
together and dip the shirts in tea so you can wear them as a Liahona people. You know,
Yep. Those shirts were passed down for years and recycled and reused. So, and then you know, that was pretty much the big spiritual thing. And then the next morning we had testimony meeting, and then we went home. That was my girls' camp.
you know, I sent you a bunch of pictures of
Yeah.
my girls' camp if you want to show them. But our big thing, we didn't do the Liahona, although I had heard about it because my cousins had done the Liahona. So I do
Mhm.
know it. But we had the ropes course.
Oh yes.
I don't remember if it was just the fourth years or if everybody did. I don't recall. But they had the ropes course, which was literally a team building activity that like CEOs still do and stuff. This is me.
Ooh, look at those bangs.
I
They're
know I was
banging.
really styling in my overalls too. I thought I was so cute.
Mhm.
Whatever. I still like to wear overalls. They're awesome. But I think I sent you the picture of us doing the ropes course. But it was like they took the ropes course and tried to make it Mormon. So there were all of these different ropes course things. Like one was called Satan's Web. And if you're familiar with the ropes course at all, it is a giant spider web that you have to go through. And it was literally like, you have to help your sisters in Christ get through Satan's web. And there was like a trust fall. And I'm looking for the pictures, but I can't find them now, of course. But there was like a trust fall, whereas like your other sisters will help you, you know, catch you, and with your testimonies, you'll all help lift each other up. And there was one called the 10 Virgins. And see, these were our bunk beds. Fun fact, I still have that rabbit. I got it when I got the flu really bad when I was like 5, and my mom bought it for me. His name is Humphrey, and his head has fallen off not once but twice and
Oh,
reattached.
goodness.
Yeah. Someone make me give it away when I had my baby, my first child. She was like, it's going to be covered in germs. You really want that around your baby? And I was like, yes, I do. Okay, here it is. Fold of God and the 10 Virgins. I have no idea what the things were, but here we are. When I was
It looks
looking
like you
through
were
these-
light as a feather and stiff as a board, Kirsten.
right? That's more accurate, I'm sure. What's funny too is I was looking through these pictures because it's in my little scrapbook, because of course it was. I was the leader in a lot of the groups. Like it showed me at the front of it, and there's several of me like pointing and shouting out. And so I'm pretty sure I'm like telling people what to do, which is also very much my personality. This
Yes,
was a
we
skit
know.
night. I will not give you the finger that I wish I could give you right now. read between the lines, Megan. I'm kidding. As you can see here, I was very sick because I am highly allergic to mountain cedar, which is all over girls' camp. So I always had to get an allergy shot before we went to girls' camp, which is probably also why I didn't enjoy it, because I was miserable most of the time. Very stuffy. I also will now share the story of the year that I vomited all over my leader's
yes,
shoes.
please do. This is my favorite girls' camp story that you've ever shared.
So, my second year, I think these were people from your ward, actually, in that picture. Oh, maybe it was.
Yeah,
the
we'll
same
talk about that
ward.
picture in a minute.
Anyways.
That has a different story.
Yes, it does have a different story. But one of the years I got extremely ill. I remember getting there in the morning and feeling really sick, but I thought it was car sickness. We've talked about it on the channel before. I suffer from really bad motion sickness. I've tried all of the things. It is what it is. So I was feeling really sick. I thought it was motion sickness from driving up there. So it was the very first day. I threw up during one of the craft things. My leader made me go because the year before I skipped a lot of the stuff. Just to be clear, I skipped a lot of the stuff the next year's anyways. So that year they made me go to the crafts, and I was telling them I was really sick, and they were like, sure, you know. So I went to the crafts, and my best friend in that picture we just showed reminds me of this all the time, that as I was like, I feel really sick, and I was walking to the trash can to throw up, and I threw up right next to the trash can and ruined craft time for everyone. And she will not let me forget it. So I threw up there, and I went back to the cabin, and I threw up at least one more time, if not two more times. And I really wanted to go home. And I kept asking them if I could call my mom to come and get me. And the leaders would not let me go. They were like, it will be fine. It could be just a 24-hour flu. Maybe you'll feel fine tomorrow. Maybe you ate something. I was like, I want to go home. So instead of allowing me to call my mom, they literally circled me and prayed. And in the middle of the prayer, I vomited again, right on one of the leaders' feet. And they said, I think that's the answer to the prayer. And so then they called my mom, and they let me go home. It gets better. It gets better.
I know. I'm trying to restrain myself.
This leader was wearing these bright ass purple shoes. And
of which she was very proud.
Yes, very proud. She loved those shoes. My vomit stained her feet purple. So then for like 2 weeks, apparently she had bright purple feet from the acid of my vomit. And just to be clear, my mom came and got me. She literally put down the seats in the back of our van and had made a little like bed for me to lay on to drive back. Because it was kind of far, wasn't it? Like an hour or two?
It was usually an hour and a half, depending on which camp we went to. Yeah.
It was the HEB one. So I don't know. So my mom made this little bed and drove me home. That was one of the sickest I've ever been. Like, I don't know what flu I got, but I threw up for like 2 days straight.
Oh,
I was so sick. And my sister actually brings this up, that she too got sick. And I don't think she went to girls' camp that year, or maybe she got it like towards the end of the week when she came home. But she was really sick too. And she jokes because she remembers she kept saying how nauseous she felt. This might be graphic. But I said, sit up and throw up because you'll feel better. And she was like, what? And she sat up and she immediately threw up. And she was like, oh, you're right. I do feel better. And I was like, told you. So it's kind of a joke in our family now that they're like, remember Kirsten said, sit up and throw up, you'll feel better. And they're like, oh, that's right. I'm not going to fight it. I'll just go throw up. So
anyways. I have a couple of fun stories from when I was a leader at girls' camp. And I'll just tell 2 quick ones. One is that I got called to be the girls' camp, like the ward camp leader, when I was probably... I was like 24, I want to say. And I was in charge of these young women who were 16 and 17 years old. So their age difference was not that wide between us, you know?
Yeah.
And so we got to be, you know, kind of friends, and I'm still friends with some of them. They were Kirsten's age, you know? And there were these two particular girls that were from my ward that were kind of a little bit misfitty because they were outspoken and didn't want to follow the rules. I remember having a very intense conversation with one of them about the whole modesty thing. And, you know, I was trying to, I tried to frame it for myself as more of a self-respect thing, which I even hate that. But she asked me questions I couldn't answer. And I literally just told her, I don't have any good answers for you. I really don't know. And I don't like it either.
Yeah.
But these particular two girls, well, they were girls at the time, they're women now. But we used to like to sort of, well, I have always been a bit of a prankster, and I would do pranks at girls' camp when I was a young woman. And I, you know, told these girls about these pranks. And so they decided that they were going to become pranksters as well. So we spent the entire week sort of like pranking each other. And one of them had a little floaty that they would take down to the water with them. That was, it was an Elmo floaty. So it was a little red inner tube that went around her waist, and it had Elmo's head on it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very proud of it. And she was very obnoxious about telling everybody about it. And do you like my Elmo? This is my Elmo. Have you met Elmo? And so one night while she was at dinner, I went into her cabin and I took Elmo and I put duct tape in X's on Elmo's eyes. And then I hung it in the tree. I
Was
didn't.
this in our stake?
Yes.
I didn't. I remember this.
This was the year that
freaking deal.
They were really like, the other leaders were really angry with me about this. Yeah, they were really mad.
And they were, because I remember they were like, a leader did that. And I was like, oh my God, a leader.
That was inappropriate for a leader to do that to a girl's personal belongings. My pearls. You're not supposed to be wearing pearls at girls' camp, lady. The other thing is that I think it was the same year, Kirsten, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But there is a lady, I think it was the lady who was the nurse. She was in charge of going around and waking everybody up in the morning. And she had a megaphone that would play obnoxious songs. It was like, if you think of like the little song that the ice cream truck plays, except 10 times as loud, and not the ice cream song, but something way more obnoxious. And she would go around holding this thing high in the air so everyone could hear it. She would walk right next to the cabin door and put it right there by the cabin door and say, "Wake up, everybody, wake up."
And
my
she
least
thought it was
favorite way.
so funny.
She thought she was hilarious. So I think it was maybe the second night. While she was at dinner, I went into her cabin and I removed the batteries from her megaphone so that she could no longer play the obnoxious music. She could still use it as a megaphone, but then it was like, "Wake up, everybody," instead of like in your face, you know, super loud, blaring stuff.
Yeah.
And when the leaders found out that this happened, they were furious. And they were like, "Whoever did this better come forward right now." I think they thought it was a girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think they thought it was one of the kids who had done it. And I was like, I'm not about to confess because y'all are crazy.
Megan, I just had a memory that I did not remember before until now. They grilled me because I had complained about it so much and so loudly. They thought either I did it or I knew who did, which neither one was correct.
Kirsten was called in for questioning. To be fair, I did not tell anybody that I had done it until camp was over, just because of that exact circumstance. I did not want anybody getting in trouble for it. If I recall correctly, they just the next day like went into town and bought some batteries, and then she fired that thing up again. I was like, why is it such a big deal? It wasn't
a big deal. Well, I remember this really well because I went and hung out at one of the other ward's cabins because I was so mad about being accused.
Sorry.
I literally went and hung out at other people's cabins like all day. and like
Yeah.
skip stuff because I was so mad because I was like, it was not me. And they're like, well, you were complaining a lot about it. And I was like, I didn't do it. I mean, I didn't say the word. But I was like, why do they think it was me? And even my other friends were like, well, you were talking about it a lot. And I was like, you were with me. If I was going to do it, I would have brought you with me.
Right. That's so funny.
I
Well,
remember that so well. Oh my God.
This particular leader did get some comeuppance.
Mhm.
And I don't remember if it was that year or the year after, but she would, okay, so this person was the nurse at girls camp. So I don't
Was
really
she?
understand. Yes, I'm pretty sure. She was either I'm
I-
pretty sure she was the nurse because I remember thinking how ironic that this happened to her and she seriously should have known better. Maybe she
She
wasn't
in
and I'm
my
remembering it
ward?
wrong.
Was she
I
in
don't
my
remember.
ward? I don't either.
I honestly don't remember. Anyway,
Anyways.
that year, our service project was that we were helping to clean up and repaint some of the cabins and the other buildings that were on the camp property. So tell me why we were paying rent to stay there. And then we also had to do this free labor for them. Anyway, so this particular leader and I and one of the other leaders were on the crew that was helping to paint some of the buildings. And all of a sudden, this leader, the megaphone lady, started like having trouble breathing. And she was like breaking out in hives and all this stuff. Well, come to find out, she is allergic to latex. And we were using latex paint. So she had to be taken to the urgent care emergency room, whatever, that was in town. One of the other leaders took her into town. And, later that day, one of my friends and I, who was an adult leader who also was a little bit rebellious, we were not supposed to leave the camp, but we were like, we're going to get sodas. So sue us because this food is crap and we need a Diet Coke. I never really drank Diet Coke, but this one time I did just because I was like, okay, you're getting a Diet Coke. I'm coming with you. So we drove into town. We got our Coke. We drive back in. And the megaphone lady who had been taken to the urgent care or whatever was back at camp. And she was helping with this service project. And so we slowed the car down, rolled down the window, and we're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Because you just had like severe latex reaction, anaphylaxis. Yeah. Are you okay? Should you be here? Shouldn't you be lying down? And she goes, I'm okay. Just my tongue's a little swollen. That's all.
What? I didn't know she came back. I remember her on the ground and freaking out and was like, what the hell is going on? But I don't remember her coming back. But I also was in the middle of everything with my friends. So
yeah. We both spit our sodas out and then just rolled up the window and kept driving because we were like, we were dying. I'm okay. Did my tongue a little swollen. When I was the first year that I was a youth leader, there was another girl who was a year older than me, and we got to be really close friends. She wasn't in my ward, so I only saw her at the big stake activities or whatever. And we got to be really close over the course of girls' camp. And it was our job to plan the 4th year hike. And this will come around a little bit later in a story that Kirsten's going to tell. Anyway, so she and I were out, in the wilderness planning the 4th year hike. Just trying to decide what would be the best route to take and all of this stuff. And she asked me, and here's a picture of her. I'm not going to show her face, but here's a picture she sent me. She asked me, yes, she asked me if I had heard a rumor that she was gay. And I was like, no, I haven't heard that. In reality now, like when she said that, I was like, oh, maybe that was her they were talking about. I don't know. There were some of these rumors going around or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I hadn't heard anything like that. And she was like, she's like, it's not true. It's just something that people are saying. And I'm not really sure why, but I just wanted you to know for sure that I'm definitely not gay. And I was like, well, thank you for, sharing that with me. If I hear the rumor, I will tell people like she talked to me and she's not. Well, yada, yada. A couple of years later, like we kept in touch. She called me one day to tell me that, yes, she was in fact gay.
I love that. She was like, I need to make this right.
Yes, exactly. And I remember like she was the first person who I knew who was out, honestly. There were other people that I suspected, but she was the first person who like openly came out to me. And I just remember thinking, Like, why is this such a big deal? Why do people get so upset about this? Like, I don't feel any differently about her right now
Yeah.
than I did 5 minutes ago, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we talked about. And I was like, it just doesn't make any difference to me. And I don't know why people think it's such a big deal. Also, not thinking of like the long-term social ramifications of somebody who's trying to be Mormon and gay, you know?
Yeah.
I just knew that it was like sort of a taboo subject. People didn't really talk about it. It was awkward. But for me,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now that I know this about this person, how does this make me feel? Like, I'm literally don't feel anything different at all. So we had a little bit more of a conversation. And then she's like, well, I'm going to go make love to my girlfriend. Bye.
It's funny that you bring that up because I have a few friends that have definitely, come out and said they're gay. And some of them had awakenings at girl camp,
Yeah, it would not be a surprise. You're sharing
No.
cabins with other girls, you're changing, you're getting into swimming suits, you're sleeping in the same cabin,
Yes. One in particular, I hope they're fine with me sharing this story. Was in a skit night, and they did a portion of Grease, and this person was playing Danny Zuko, because of course it's all females, so someone had to, and that was the first time they realized that they really loved being a boy, showing interest in a woman, and singing fun love songs about being with a woman. So, Girls Camp has all sorts of awakenings. And frankly, I think there should be more books about lesbian lovers at Mormon Girls Camp. That's all I'm saying. It's an idea. I think they would be a really big hit. And I would love to participate in authoring something like that. Just saying.
Yes, Anyways,
Megan, I think we've come to the pinnacle story of our girls' camp.
I think we have. This is another time in history when Kirsten and I had our lives overlap and didn't realize at the time who each other were, really.
Yeah.
And in our many discussions over the last several months of knowing each other, this story came up, and we discovered that we were in each other's story and we didn't even know it. So here's the story of Kirsten and Megan at girls' camp somewhere around the year 2000.
Yes. There I am. There I am with my friends hiking. As you can see, I've always been the tiniest of tiny people. And also, how 2000s of me in this striped shirt.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
So I will preface this story with my part, and then Kirsten can tell it from her side.
Do I have a story, friends?
Yeah. So during this year, I was in charge of all the girls who were Kirsten's age at girls' camp. And so therefore, I was in charge of the two youths who were over that level as well. So they were the youth leaders. And it was the two girls that we were pranksters together in a different year. And I trusted them a great deal. And I also wanted them to really have an experience where they had to plan something from beginning to end and be in charge of it, with my oversight, of course. But, I wanted them to take the initiative to do the thing. So as I did when I was at girls' camp, I helped to plan one of the hikes with my other youth leader friend. And I thought, what a great experience it would be for these two girls to plan the hike. Now, the hike was something that nobody really looked forward to very much. It was required to go a certain distance. The girls didn't enjoy it because it was hot outside and whatever. But it's a good experience, and 3 miles is not that long of a hike. Shouldn't be.
As you can see, though, I was in jeans too. If we showed that picture, I'm wearing jeans.
Yes.
So it was hot.
A lot of the girls were wearing long pants because of the new shorts rule, which I thought was really stupid. I think I was wearing capri pants that whole entire camp because I was not about to wear jeans.
Because we know how flattering those are.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, so I told these two girls, I need you to plan a hike. And we looked at a big map of the camp. I told them generally where, like, this is where would be a good idea, but I want you. So what we would do is, as leaders, is we would get to camp a day early, and we would put everything together, decorate everything, plan everything. And so the day before the girls got to camp, I said to these two youth leaders, I want you two to go on a hike and plan the hike for the young women. So essentially, look at this map. Here are a few suggestions of where I think you should go. Go and hike it and see if it's appropriate for these young women. And then you'll be in charge of leading us that day. And so I let them go on their merry way. A few hours later, they came back and I was like, how was it? And they were like, yeah, it wasn't that bad, actually. I think it's going to be great. We're just going to take this little trail right here. They showed me on the map. I was like, cool. Mm-hmm. That's kind of close to like the border of the property, but I think we should be okay. Yada, yada. Came to find out not until very much later that they never did actually go on a hike or plan a hike. They sat in their cabins for however many hours it was, and then just told me that they had planned a hike because one of the other girls was like, oh yeah, just take this trail. It's super easy. It's perfectly obvious where you're supposed to go. Just go that way and it comes right back around. And they were like, awesome. We don't have to do a hike.
Liars.
So, Kirsten, would you like to tell us from your perspective what that day was like for you?
I would love to share. This is my traumatic experience. It probably actually made one of the reasons I did not like going to girls' camp. You guys are like, Kirsten's not outdoorsy. Guess what? I was traumatized.
And yet you went on a hike with me anyway. But you were in charge.
True.
So
I was in charge and we made it.
We did make it.
So even though you stumbled a few times,
I did stumble.
as we showed in our
and it built my testimony.
Okay, this was not a testimony builder for me. So we're on the hike. I'm already not excited because it was hot. It was always hot in Texas. It was humid. Probably my allergies were flaring up. They always did. And other people got to do fun stuff. I remember they were like, it was during like the swimming time or something. Like I remember there was something else that we had to miss to go on this hike and I was a little irritated about. So there were multiple reasons I was already not excited to go on this hike. But my really good friend was going with me, or my friends. You saw my little friend group, the pictures. So we start off in this hike. And then I remember the leader, who now we know is Megan, saying, this girl's going to lead us. And I remember specifically saying, I don't know if you remember this, Megan, but I was like, why is she taking us on the hike? Because I was not quiet about it. I was like, who is this child and why is she leading the hike? Well, are you muted? I can't hear you.
To be fair, she was 17 at the time, so she wasn't a little girl. But anyway.
In my eyes, I know that I knew the person. I knew this individual, and I was like, why is she leading us? I don't know if she annoyed me or if I just didn't like the idea of another girl leading the hike, but I was annoyed by that. So we're going on this hike, and it starts seeming a little like, not treacherous, but definitely off the beaten path. And we're like crawling up rocks and like going, there was not a clear path, and we're just hiking along, and it's getting long. So I was thinking like, it's getting really long. This seems longer than it should be. And there was a lot of murmuring around the camp or the hike people. Like it wasn't just me. Other people were definitely getting frustrated too. So as we're walking, we then come to barbed wire, which is the edge of the property. Our first day at camp, they make a very big deal of like telling us the history of the camp and how it's like 150 acres and it's family owned and like all of these things. So I literally was like 150 acres and we found the edge of it. How long have we been hiking? And like, I was getting very dirty looks from like everyone on the hike. And then I remember one of the leaders being like, I think we should say a prayer. And I literally yelled, I am not praying. We need a freaking GPS. Like yelled it at the leader.
It might have been it might have been me, Kirsten, because I seem to remember I was the only adult on the hike. I could be wrong about
It
that.
probably was you then. I
But it's
thought there was
possible.
another. I thought there
No,
was like
maybe
an
there
adult.
was.
I thought
There had
was
to have
an
been another
adult-
one.
Right, because I remember there was like an adult at the head and an adult at the back.
Right. Yes.
Because
And I was
closer
in the back,
to
I think.
Okay, well, I was going to say the leader in the back kept trying to calm me down. So I remember I was towards the back and the leader in the back was like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. We'll find the way. And I was like, no, we are lost. And I was like, when is someone going to admit that we're lost? And I was not being quiet about it. So when we ran into the barbed wire, I said, are we in the freaking the German
about a
1939. Yes. And I got reprimanded for that by someone. I don't know if it was a leader or not, but I remember someone got really mad at me.
Because I probably thought it was funny.
Yeah. Because I do remember people laughing too. Specifically, my friends were laughing their butt off. And they were like, Kirsten, it'll be okay. And I was like, will it? People get lost in the wilderness all the time. It's really bad. So, long story short, we made it back. It was really cold. I said I was going to jump in the river, and I was told I wasn't allowed to because I was wearing jeans. So I did go back to my cabin, and I don't know if I changed to my swimsuit. And I was mad about it, really mad. So that's the end of that's. Well, that so was how the hike went.
Another little part that Kirsten doesn't know about or remember is that I was in the back for the majority of the hike, and I knew fairly early on that these girls did not know where they were going, and I was like,
you said nothing.
I was like, I'm gonna let this play out for a little while. To be fair, we only walked for about 10 minutes after I was sure that they had no idea what they were doing.
Megan, I remember saying to the leader in the back, who we will just now refer to as you, I said, I think we're lost. And you said to me, I'm assuming it was you, let's give them a chance. And I was really mad about that. But I remember specifically the leader, who is now you, saying, let's just give them a chance. We want them to have the chance to lead. And I was like, no, I don't like this idea. And I said it more than once. And you were like, it'll be okay. Let's give them a chance. And I got I think I hated you by the end of that.
I'm sure you did.
This bitch, this is her fault.
Well, to be fair, here's another thing that you don't know is that we were not that far from the actual trail. We were close enough that I could
remember
see,
that.
I could see the actual trail from where we were. And I kept going, that's an interesting choice. That's an interesting choice. We're going to end up dead ending is what this is going to come out as. But I could see the trail from where we were. So it's not as though we were fully lost and we needed to be rescued or anything like that. But when we got to the barbed wire, I went up to the girls who were in the front and they were like,
I remember that too, because I sat down.
So so I had a little powwow with them and I was like, look, I can tell that you guys didn't do your planning. I know you didn't. And they were like, well, they told us that if we just went this way, it would be fine. And I was like, well, that's part of coming out here and figuring it out, because if you don't actually walk on the trail, you might not know exactly where to turn. And if you guys had done this the day before, you would have gotten to the barbed wire and been like, okay, we screwed up. Where did we go wrong? And you would have figured it out because the trail is right there. Yeah. And they were like, seriously? This whole time you knew it was right there and you didn't say anything. I was like, we're fine. We're going to have to we were in waist high scrub brush at this point. We clearly were not on a trail, and we were going to have to walk through waist high scrub brush for about 50 feet to get to the trail. And then we were fine. So it was annoying. It was frustrating. A lot of us were, we got scratched by branches and stuff that we probably it
Yeah.
wasn't necessary for that to happen and everything.
Yeah.
But they did feel really bad about it afterwards. And I
Good.
was like, I just wanted you guys to have the opportunity of figuring out what it's like when something goes horribly wrong because you made a mistake. And it's okay.
I was so mad. I remember so vividly, like people holding branches for each other. And I was like, one of these are going to be poison oak. I know it. And guess what? Then y'all are going to have to deal with my poison oak breakout. And I remember one of my friends being like, it's not poison oak. And I was like, oh, all of a sudden, you know what poison oak looks like. But I do remember like the trail was not that far. Like we did have to walk through and we were holding branches for each other, like for the person behind us and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it really wasn't that far. But I was just so mad.
Yeah.
Because
like
I was like, this could have been prevented. And nobody said anything because we were trying to let some ding dong girl lead the way. That was my experience.
Yeah, like as a 14, 15-year-old girl, I could see where you would be very upset. And there were it was more than you that were upset that we had gone on this adventure involuntarily.
Yes.
And you know, the two girls were also not happy with me because they were like, why didn't you just tell us when we took the wrong turn? And I was like, well, I wasn't sure exactly that you had. But you know, after a little while, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, I was like, yep, definitely went the wrong way. And then I was like, oh, yes, I can see the markers over there. So anyways, they were mad at me too. And they didn't talk to me like the whole night.
Oh, shoot. Well, I remember it was supposed to be like 3 miles. And I think it ended up being like 5 miles total. Like, it
was definitely 5.
It wasn't far. Like, I remember.
Nobody
was
in
so
danger.
Mad. No,
and the other thing
all.
is that we were under so much cover. Well, yeah, we were under so much cover though that the sun exposure wasn't that bad. I was watching. Everybody had water. Nobody was in danger of heat stroke or anything like that. So it wasn't like I was allowing them to go off the trail and we were all, you know, in a perilous situation.
It was literally like drama. Kirsten went in full force because I was mad because I did not want to follow those people. So the person who was leading was someone that was very much like quirky, off the beaten path, just like kind of, let's just go this way, blah, blah. Yes. And I did not want to follow that person because I felt that they were trying to just have a fun time and we're not going to go the right way. And I did not want to follow them because in my mind at that time, both of the individuals actually, but especially that one, I thought was a little too quirky to be in charge of anything.
So funny.
I was like,
I love it.
This is a terrible idea. This person should not be in charge of things. They fly by the seat of their pants, and this is going to turn out bad.
They swim with an Elmo floaty, for God's sake.
Exactly. And I was not excited. So the further that we went, the more angry I got because I too, like Megan, like knew there was no way this was a trail. And this person was so insistent that they had walked this before and they knew it was correct. And I was like, you full of shit. And because you are a person who I know to be full of shit. So, I mean, end of the day, we all survived. It was not a big deal. Kirsten was just dramatic and did not want to follow that person into the lone wilderness. And Megan, the leader, was being like, it's fine. And I was like, no, it isn't. You're in charge of one thing, and that is my safety. And you have chosen to not put that forward. You have chosen poorly.
Leader Megan was like, this will be a learning experience for the older girls. And who cares about the younger girls?
And I was like, I don't want to learn. My testimony is strong enough. But yeah, the one thing I remember the most is when the leader said, let's just say a prayer. I think pretty sure to calm everybody else down. And I was like, no, I am not praying. Someone needs to get a GPS.
To be honest, I keep trying to think about if that was me. And I really don't think it was.
I don't think it was, honestly, because I remember it was towards the front. It couldn't have been who the back. I don't know if you'd already walked towards the front, but I remember it was towards the front because I was falling in the back because I was mad. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not keeping up with people. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want this to be social. Like, I was mad. So I started heading towards the back, and I just like walked slower and slower to make a point that I did not want to participate in this hike anymore. And I remember it was towards the front, like the leaders had gotten together and were talking. And I heard, like, because people were sitting down and getting frustrated, they're like, let's say a prayer. And I was like, no, I am not praying. Like, I'm not doing that. Get me out of here.
It would have been a very Mormon Megan thing to do. So it could have been me, but I don't remember saying it. And the other thing is, I don't remember what situation we were in. I think we were on a panel together or something when I was telling this story, or we were talking about maybe we should tell girls' camp stories. And I started telling this story, and you were like, oh my God, I was on that hike. And we realized that it was the two of us together. And that was kind of mind blowing, honestly. That's really funny that our paths crossed so many times.
I know. But anyways, end of the day, girls camp is both good and bad memories. If you have girls camp stories, we'd love to hear them. Please leave in the comments, because everybody has one. I mean, we didn't even touch on girls camp testimony meeting, which it was just so good in the worst way.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about people bearing testimony about menstruation and bullying and being asked out by weird boys. Like, it was everywhere.
And
but
we
I'm
also
glad we did this.
We also didn't get to talk about the fact that I had to send a girl home from girls' camp one year because I caught her smoking behind the tent, and then she hid her cigarettes underneath the tent.
Well, we didn't talk about how on the overnight hike, I pinned a girl's tent shut because she annoyed me. And then I denied it.
Oh my gosh,
hard.
that's amazing.
I was going to die on that hill that it was not me. And I don't know if people believed me or not, but I didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
well, what I would love is if our channel listeners, if anybody within the sound of my voice has an interesting or funny girls' camp story, or even a horrible girls' camp story, please email us at lifeafterlds@gmail.com, especially if you were in the Yorktown stake between the years of 1988 and 1992, and you went to girls' camp with me. I want to know.
yeah.
And also, if you were in the San Antonio, Texas North stake between the years of 1997 and 2004-ish or so, that's when I was a leader during that time. We would love to hear from you. But even if you weren't, we would love to hear your girls' camp story. Please email us. We will do a whole new episode on your girls' camp stories, because we desire all to receive it.
Also, if you would be very interested in me and Megan co-writing a girls' camp lesbian book, I think we should crowdfund this.
Kirsten, we're already going to do it. We're already going to do it.
I know. I don't know why. I'm trying to get your buy-in because it's going to be so much fun. We just have to do it.
The other thing is, Kirsten, if anyone as an adult would like to go on a girls' camp retreat where we will have adult beverages and no hiking, or hiking if you want hiking. We'll do hiking if you want. One of the things I loved about girls' camp,
randos lead the trail, okay?
No, no randos will be leading. These will be very well planned hikes. One of the other things I loved is that at girls' camp when I was a young lady, we did a polar bear swim early in the morning, and I absolutely loved that. That was so fun because it was like the water was warmer than the air in first thing in the morning. Now that doesn't happen in Texas, but
no,
I loved that. So, anyways, we would love to plan an adult girls' camp. And not adult in that way, but just for women. And we would love to spend a few days, glamping, as it were, and enjoying some adult beverages and swapping stories over the campfire. So if you're interested in that, please, again, email us or leave a comment on this video. We want to have something ready to go fairly soon.
Absolutely. It'll be awesome. Deconstructing high demand religion, or just gathering together as women and kumbayaing it and not singing Mormon songs.
Yes, that's right. Not singing no songs about Mormon boys.
No. So,
Well, thanks
all
for
right.
joining us. Don't forget, members only live after this, and join us on Monday nights for live family night where we read stories from our Book of Mormon reader and we drink adult beverages.
Thanks for being here, guys. Bye.
We love you. Bye.
It's wrong to criticize leaders of the church, even if the criticism is true.